Okay, we'll start. Uh, Welcome you all for this online session. I hope it is audible to all of you. If anything is there, you can chat. Is it audible? Say yes or no using the chat box. Okay, then. Totally, we have 37 participants. We'll start the class. Uh, Let the others also can join after 5 minutes also. Okay. Uh, this is a boundary value analysis technique. We have already discussed about this topic. So only thing is I'll just quickly move around the slides, whichever we have covered in the last class. Uh, so it is basically a functional testing. What do you mean by functional testing? Where it is nothing but an black box testing. Black box testing is input will be fed, based on that output will be expected. If the expected output, if it is of the whatever the expected output is there, if it is uh, coming similar to your actual output, then we'll say that yes, whatever the test cases that we are designing it is fine. And this functional testing, we'll be doing it with respect to your pen and paper work, not with respect to your programs. Programs comes at the last. That's what we have just seen it. So in this, there are so many functional testing flavors available. So in that, boundary value analysis testing is also one of the thing. So that's what we will be we'll be seeing in this particular class. So quickly, we'll be just running around what is your boundary value analysis is all about. So with respect to this boundary value analysis, kindly, I'm seeing, okay, switch off your video as well as audio. Audio have disabled, video also. Sushwina, yeah, thank you. We'll just quickly run around this particular boundary value analysis testing. This boundary value analysis testing is based on the single fault assumption as per the reliability theory. That's what we have seen it. And most important thing is boundary value analysis testing is based on independent of the variables. That means if you are checking a particular room temperature, with respect to the room temperature, if you are affecting your particular some of the softwares, then that becomes a dependent variables. So like that, you should not have any dependent variables among your particular testing principle. So that's what your boundary value analysis stresses more. And with respect to your normal boundary value analysis, we'll be always taking 4 points. Which are all those 4 points? Yeah. One is minimum, next one is minimum plus, next one is nominal, maximum minus maximum. So normally with respect to your boundary value analysis, we require a range, and each particular variable should be independent enough to fix its range. It's not mandatory that all should be having the same range. Like for example, we have already seen with respect to triangle problem. We have already taken with respect to your lab exercise, one particular program is there. So in that, we always choose all the three sides will be taking the length as 1 to 10. So depending on that, we were choosing it. It is not mandatory that always we need to go for it. We have already seen it. So once again, I'm just recalling those particular those things. That's it. So here, what is A? What is B? A is the minimum range. B is the maximum range. Remaining 2 points, yes. This is remaining 3 points or nothing but it will be just taken it for consideration for checking or testing. Rachana, you can just switch off the video. Once again, I'm reminding you, don't switch on the video. So video and audio should be paused at your end. Okay, so we'll continue. Otherwise, there will be a pause as well as a mixture of voices will be available. So you'll not be able to hear what I'm telling you or what I'm teaching. So kindly switch off your turn off the webcam as well as audios from your end. Okay, yes, we'll continue. So A and B, basically it is nothing but based on one particular variable here, x1. So x1 will be lying within this A and B. That's what it has been explained here. You can view it, right? So wherever my mouse cursor is moving, are you able to view that? Can you? Or anybody facing difficulty? So wherever my mouse cursor is moving. Okay, thank you. Uh, we'll just move on. X1 will be taking with respect to A and B. Within this particular range, every value will be available. That's what it is saying. So what is this T over here? Can you able to see this? T is a tool. That's what they have decided. They have just given it. So what this particular boundary value analysis is given it, it is having one particular tool called as T, where these five variables, whatever we are mentioning it will be fed. Once it is taking the input values, then the next particular expected value, it will be just calculated by yourself and you will be putting it. Depending on that, it will be checking for the actual output. Once it comes, it will be just evaluated. This is just T is nothing but a tool, testing tool, you can say it. Software testing tool, you can say it. Okay, so that's all with respect to it. Now with respect to your diagrammatical representation, when it comes to the two variables, like here x1 is one variable, x2 is another variable, and you have a range from for x1 as a to b, and you have a range for x2 as c to d. That is, a is the minimum value for x1, b is the maximum value for x1. Similarly for x2, c is the minimum value, d is the maximum value. So we will be identifying one point which is very much nearer to that particular boundary and the next value. This is, you will be having the boundary value with respect to this particular D, one value next to it. Similarly for A, similarly for C, similarly for B. And we, with respect to these two variables, we have a common nominal point that is at the center. So this is what you will be speaking with respect to reliability theory. With respect to your reliability theory, if you have two variables which is completely independent enough, where you will be finding maximum and minimum values, depending on that, you can have the ranges to be fixed. So this is your normal boundary value analysis. If you are diagrammatically, if you want to represent it. If you have one more particular variable, you can extend it to a one more particular axis. Depending on that, your particular entire scenario with respect to the middle point value, that is a nominal point value, will be changing. So this is, since we all are very familiar with respect to 2D representation, two variable representation, so that's why they have given this example. So this is just an example for that. Next, with respect to your robustness, what we'll be doing is, robustness always deals with whether it works fine in all the conditions. Suppose if anything wrong went, that means some other particular value which is not in the range, if you have given, what will be the step? Normal boundary value analysis will not speak about it, will not be touching that particular part. What your normal boundary value analysis will be doing is, what happens within the range, it will be giving you. What happens outside the box, we cannot test it. If you want to do it, go with robustness. This also will not be considering all the points, whichever is outside that particular range. It will take one point at a time. If you test for one point, suppose you have a range of 1 to 200 with respect to one of the side. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Suppose we have the boundary as 1 to 200 with respect to one particular variable. Variable name is x1. So if one value less than that is nothing but 0, 0 if you are checking it, then it will be reflecting with respect to -1, -2 also. We will not check for -1, -2. We'll just end up with going one value behind that. We'll just wind up that particular theory. So what happens behind that particular member? So we can just think about it. And this is mainly based on the stress boundaries. That is what they are saying. Stress boundaries is nothing but at the endpoints. So at the endpoints, if it is goes beyond it, what happens? That's what we are just looking into. If it goes beyond it as 200 is a maximum value. If it goes 201, then it will be rejected. So that's what it need to be taken care with respect to all the particular scenarios. What is the possible advantages of using robustness? Find hidden functionality. That is what. So basically, we are not handling the error properly. So now we have handled it in a very good fashion. That's what your robustness is all about. And leads to exploratory testing. Exploratory testing means what happens behind the box. We have not seen that. So that's what your exploratory testing is all about. So it will be just giving the ideas about it. But what about these questions? What are the expected outputs? Okay, you are saying that if it is 0, you can handle it. If it is 201, you can handle it. What about if I have given the range, or if I have given the value of the variable as -1, -2? So there plays a vital role. And what if the programming language is strongly typed? What do you mean by strongly typed? Strongly typed is nothing but data will always be fixed at the beginning, that is during the compile time itself. Whichever the language that we are using is not as strongly typed. So basically, we can just take a deep breath. But if we are using any Java or C or C++, then your particular robustness will be asked a question. We are fixing that particular data type at the beginning. So with respect to that particular data type, only we need to just focus on it. So if it goes beyond it, what happens? We have not checked it. Some exceptions may come into picture, which is nothing but runtime error. That's what we are saying it. Similar thing happens here also with respect to your robustness. So it should be giving you the same particular type of output itself. That's what we are expecting it to. Now you can just looking into this diagram, you can just uh, identify, or you can just create yourself what happens over here. So in the normal boundary value analysis, we were setting with respect to boundary next value to it. Here in your robustness, one value uh, out of the box with respect to each particular side. Sorry, with respect to each particular range of the value. So that is A for that, one value behind it, what happens? For C, what happens? For D, what happens? For B, what happens? That's what we'll be just looking into with respect to your robust boundary value analysis technique. Any questions? Anything need to be repeated? You can just type it in the text box so that we can just continue. Anything, any particular thing, if you want to, if you have. Is it clear? Can I continue? Hello? Okay. So many S's. So we'll just continue with the next one. This is with respect to your normal worst case boundary value test analysis. What is this normal? Okay, boundary value analysis. That is nothing but with respect to this particular range, what happens with respect to one particular area, one point will be just fixing it. Always we are checking with respect to that particular point, one next value to it will be just finding it. With respect to your worst case, what it will be doing is, if two variables are there, this happens with respect to two variables. This does not come with respect to one single variable. In one single variable, you can just go with identifying either a robust case, or you can identify it with respect to your a normal boundary value analysis. Worst case, if you are going to deal with it, if you want to understand better, then you need to take two variables, two independent variables, x1 and x2. That is what it will be having. So the next thing is the ranges. That is, A and B is the range with respect to x1, C and D is the range with respect to x2. We have concentrated with respect to one point, but with respect to worst case means what happens if we take the corner points where the two particular entities will be meeting. Suppose A and C will meet at the one particular point. What happens over there? We need to check it. With respect to B to C, similar to A and D, similarly B and D, what happens? So this is nothing but your corner points we need to identify, we need to check it. Why 4 points are available? Only 2 points was more than enough with respect to this particular thing, right? But here, see, A is also coming, C is also meeting. So once it is at the meeting point, one particular point. So in the same A, one particular area. In the same particular C, one point. So with respect to A and C, one more point I need to identify. Why? Because it says with respect to your boundary value analysis, next immediate point you need to take it. So that's why we need to focus on these particular 4 points. How many points are available now? Can anybody just give the answer? You can type it. You can type it and send it. Don't count it. Blindly, you just answer this. Previously, we had 4 into n plus 1 with respect to your normal boundary value analysis, 6 into n plus 1 with respect to your robustness boundary value analysis. With respect to your worst case, it is as good as 5 points only we'll be considering. On those particular 5 points, it will be 5 to the power of n. I'll repeat it. I'll just 5 cap n. That's what we'll be saying it. So these many cases we need to identify, or we need to just take down with respect to checking with respect to normal worst case boundary value analysis. Why it is 5 to the power of n? See here, we are not considering only with respect to the boundaries. We are going one step ahead. So what happens if the two particular variable endpoints meet? That one also we are taking it. This will also be within the range itself. So how many points it will be there? It will be nothing but 5 to the power of n. N is nothing but the total number of variables. So two variables are there, 5 square. Three variables are there, 5 cube. 5 cube, you can imagine with respect to your triangle problem, it will be taking 125 test cases you need to design. One question comes here: does it worth with respect to speaking about your worst case boundary value analysis? See, one thing you keep in your mind with respect to your boundary value analysis, will be always taking this particular boundary value analysis technique with respect to only one way, that is critically if you want to identify with respect to, if you want to test with respect to the any system like health system, it can be X-ray machine, or your ECG machine, which will be calculating and which will be giving you the output. If you want to go with analyzing those type of techniques, does your boundary value analysis gives a right output, or is it enough to check with boundary value analysis? Normally, it will be dealing with respect to the time limit. With respect to worst case, it is not the case. It will be just dealing with respect to your the 125 test cases. If you want to design means more time you need to take it. Now question comes, how we will be overcoming? Probably I'll leave this question to you. So tomorrow, before uh, continuing with respect to the regular class, we can just have a debate on it or discussion on it, then we can continue. Okay, so this is where it is important, why or when to use this particular techniques. So we'll be analyzing, we'll be just taking care about the topics. Everything is fine. This diagram is available in the textbook. You can read the textbook, you can get the output, but where to apply, that is very, very important. So we'll probably discuss that once we finish all the particular cases with respect to the boundary value analysis flavors. So one more flavor is left out. Uh, we'll just check it out. It is also this boundary value analysis means it's a single fault. This normal worst case also deals with a single fault assumption itself. Single fault means any one variable can go beyond that particular range. If it is available, then I can identify. Otherwise, it is not possible. So the next one is robustness. Similar to your uh, robustness boundary value analysis, some robust worst case boundary value analysis will also be the same thing. You can just compare these two diagrams, which you are seeing it with respect to normal worst case boundary value analysis and your robust worst case boundary value analysis. See, robustness deals with one value behind it, what happens. Okay, it is holds good for any particular boundary value testing analysis. But worst case means we are considering apart from not only single point where the particular points will be meeting, that is with respect to minimum and maximum, those particular consideration will also be those particular points also be considered. That's what your worst case will be saying. One value behind that particular member is nothing but your robust worst case boundary value analysis. And normally, typically, it will be having the total number of test cases is totally 7 points. It will be having minimum whichever it will be there. So it will be 7 points because 3 points at the extreme one end of your particular range, 3 points at the other end, that is minimum as well as maximum area. So one is the nominal one. So totally how many points? 7 points. 7 to the power n. That's what it will be having, the total number of cases with respect to your robust worst case boundary value analysis test case technique. Any doubt till now? Hello? Don't worry, I'll share the video. I'll share the PPT also with you. Which one? Which one you want to discuss? You're saying no for which one? Robust worst case boundary value or normal worst case boundary value? Okay, how points are taken? That's what you need to just have a look into it. Okay, we'll just go back to the previous slide. Previous slide says normal worst case boundary value analysis technique. Fine. All of you are okay with this? Okay, Surya, no problem. I'll share the particular slides or video, whatever is going on. It is recorded. So I'll just share this particular video. You just go through it once. If any problem is there, you can contact me anytime. No problem. Okay. Is it okay, Surya? Okay. So with respect to the normal worst case boundary value analysis, how many people are having problem, or how to identify the boundaries is a problem for you, right? That's what you said. Hello. Okay. So let me take an example. So suppose we say that 1 a is equal to 1. I'll just pause the screen for a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. A will be holding the value as 1. Okay. Similarly, B is equal to some 20. I'll just say it. This is with respect to first variable x1. Similarly, I'll just draw one more box where this particular thing is called as x2. Okay, let me. All of you can view this, whatever I'm typing. Okay. See here, C will take the value as 1. Okay. And D has some value as 20 itself. this is my scenario. My scenario says that x1 is one variable where it will be having the range a to b. A will be holding as the value as 1 and b is 20. Similarly, x2 as c is equal to 1, d is equal to 20. Fine. Okay. We'll just take the next one. We have a table to be constructed, right? With respect to this, I think you are aware of it. So first is variable will be that. The next value is minimum, minimum plus max minus, we'll just go with plus 1 minus 1 for our better understanding, max. Just stretch this. Okay. Okay, another 10 minutes is there. If possible, I'll explain you, or else in the tomorrow's class, we'll just see this. So this is how we need to construct a table, right? So in this nominal value, we need to just extend it. So with respect to this, so here x1 will be there. This is 1 and this is 2. This is 5. 9 will be coming with respect to this. This one is 10. Agree? I hope all of you are aware of this. Similar to this, the second variable will come into picture. X2. Same values because we have the same range. But keep one thing in your head. It is not mandatory that always you need to have the same ranges. It can vary. The best example that I can give you right now is your commission problem. There, your lock, stocks, barrels having the different way. So this table is must and should, whichever the particular boundary value analysis technique that you are following, this table plays a vital role. Now, assuming that we have taken only, now we need to construct it. Oh, it all. Okay, I hope this is clear. Why it is coming. X1 is the variable, 1 is the minimum value, minimum plus 1, like that it will be just going on. So if you are getting confused, we'll just see this particular thing. Example tomorrow also, no problem. So 5 is the nominal value and maximum minus 1. Suppose 1 and 1 comes in contact. What will be the thing? 1 next value, what it will be having? What it will be just going to take care with respect to the previous value. So that is nothing but your main concern with respect to your robust boundary value analysis technique. This is 1 and this is x. C is also taking 1. So these two are communicated or intersecting with respect to one point. This is also one particular value itself. This whole particular line carries with respect to 1. This whole B value is concentrated with respect to your 20. C value is concentrated with respect to 1. D value is concentrated with respect to 20. So only one particular area you are choosing that particular member. What happens if it is intersected at that particular area? So at the center point, you are just taking it, right? So what happens with respect to this? Similarly, 1, 2, 5, 9, 10. With respect to 1, you can just choose 2 next point. Next point can be your 5. What happens over there with respect to your triangle problem? So if you are going with only 2 variables at a time, 1 with respect to 2, followed by, it is a Cartesian product. That's what I can just say it right now. So in terms of Cartesian product, you need to just identify 1 to 1. If it comes, what happens? 1, 1, if you are taking, what happens? 1, 2, if you are taking, what happens? 1, 3, if you are taking, what happens? This is just a diagrammatical representation of the data. This whole line, whatever the dotted line that you are saying, it is nothing but your one variable value itself. P is nothing but your one variable value itself. Like that, you can have so many other particular areas also, right? So you can just identify it. You can just get back the result for it. I hope it is clear. Hello. Is it clear? So you can take the values according to you, but only thing is you need to choose within that particular 5 values itself. Robust always deals with the endpoints where the particular minimum, maximum, or minimum will be going to meet. One with respect to 20, what happens? One with respect to 10, what happens? The same particular range will be carried out with respect to the other variables also. It's a Cartesian product. So what happens with respect to the intersection of the points, that's also will be seeing it. So in all those particular areas, we'll be observing what it will be taken care. Suppose if we are taking the integer values, will not come to know with respect to that. If we are taking the floating point or a decimal point values, then this plays a vital role. So normally we'll not go with worst case or your robust worst case. We'll be always going to deal with respect to your normal boundary value analysis, or else with respect to your robustness boundary value analysis. What we have checked it with respect to your regular lab exercises, robust boundary value analysis technique, because we have just given the what happens if it is going out of the box, what will be the answer for it. Now understood? Hello? Is that clear? Can we wind up this class? Or if you have any question, I can take this. Maximum 3 minutes to 4 minutes is left out. So tomorrow what we'll do is, we'll just take up one example. We'll take up the boundary value analysis technique with respect to triangle problem, how it will be designed, what are all the things that we need to take care. If it is going with respect to your robustness, how to choose the particular members, we'll just take up that particular class tomorrow. Is it okay? All of you? Hello? If anyone want to speak, I'll just allow you to speak, or if you can type your question in the chat and you can send it, means you can send it, no problem. And one more thing, don't message privately, send it to the you can chat it with respect to meeting. In the meeting, everyone can view it, so that everyone will be understanding what your question. Suppose some other particular fellow will be having the same question, they can suppress it with respect to the answer that I'm giving it. Is it okay? Okay, Siddharth, do you have any question? Okay. Once we finish off this topic, let me complete it. Once we finish off this particular topic, boundary value analysis technique, we'll take one quiz. The quizzes will not be in the regular class. What we'll plan is, I'll just give you the time. I'll just send you in the WhatsApp group. So the link, everything, you just need to log in at your home. You need to attend the quiz. Is it okay? Okay, nice to see you guys. It's time to leave. Another 1 minute is there. If you have anything to share with me, you can share it. It may be the feedback of today's class, no problem. If anything to be improved, we can improve it. Nevertheless, don't leave it to the end, because time is very short for us within the exams may not be getting postponed. That's what the message that we got from the VC, Vice Chancellor. So that's why if anything to be improved, you can just request us. No problem. Less than a minute, that's what it's saying. So if anything is there, you just share me through the WhatsApp, no problem, anytime. Okay. So I hope all of you are familiar with this particular tool now. So we can just enjoy the rest of the classes using this tool only. Okay, then see you. Bye.